It looked like the WNBA saga, the little run that they had, is now over, as major networks could be pulling segments from the broadcast, and this current CBA agreement is heating up. This is all what the owners wanted.
Imagine waking up and discovering that the two biggest sports megaphones in America just stopped talking about your league. Not a pause, not a "we'll be right back," but a quiet, calculated pullback. Segments gone. Debate tables moved on. Highlights replaced by reruns. And the moment it happens, the one star who had casual fans rearranging their day to watch, she's out with an injury. If that feels like a nightmare scenario, it's because it is. And for the WNBA, many believe that nightmare is here.
Think about ESPN, Fox, other sports networks. Everybody has took away WNBA segments.
Let's be clear about what's being said right now. Reports and on-air commentary claim ESPN and Fox Sports have reduced WNBA coverage after Caitlin Clark's injury. Whether you think that's ruthless business or a reality check, the effect is the same. Less airtime, less oxygen, less leverage. The question we're answering today isn't just, why did they do it? It's, what does this do to the league, the next CBA fight, and the players who believed last season marked a turning point?
Oh, the ratings go down. What happened when the ratings go down? They're back in a sunken place, bro. And guess what happens when they go back in a sunken place? They're not getting no big-time paydays.
Because for a few dizzying months, women's basketball wasn't just trending. It was dominating. Ratings popped, arenas filled, merchandise vanished in minutes, and every clip of Clark crossing half court pulled numbers. But here's the uncomfortable truth bubbling up from the numbers. The surge wasn't evenly spread. It wasn't a tide lifting all boats. It was a floodlight, and the switch was tied to one player. When that switch flicked off, the room went dark.
Talking about they don't even want to watch it. The league is dead. Have y'all noticed? Y'all haven't seen the WNBA leading off on First Take. Y'all haven't seen it being talked about on Gil's Arena. Ever since Caitlin Clark went down, I haven't seen Cheryl Swoops on Gil's Arena.
Networks aren't sentimental. They're mathematic. If a segment draws eyeballs, it stays. If it doesn't, it disappears. And when Clark went down, you could feel producers looking at dashboards in real time. View-through rates fall. Mentions dip. Ad buyers cool off. That's not a grudge. That's a spreadsheet. So the coverage shrank. First the highlights, then the talk show debates, then the pregame packages. What started as a programming tweak felt to fans like a verdict. Without Clark, the league struggles to hold the mainstream.
None of the big networks are covering the WNBA. Is Elle Duncan still got her show? What is going on? I haven't seen Monica McNutt on First Take since Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark played each other the first time this season. I ain't seen her on First Take talking about basketball since.
Is that fair? Maybe not, but it's familiar. Think golf before Tiger. Think tennis after Serena bows out of a major. Star power is oxygen, especially for a product still fighting for habit share. That's the piece many don't want to admit. The WNBA didn't suddenly transform from niche to essential overnight. Viewers found a must-watch protagonist. And when the protagonist leaves the stage, casual fans, who make up the biggest swing, wander out of the theater.
WNBA, you're dead. The WNBA pretty much blew its opportunity this year, and tonight, when Caitlin Clark announced that she was not returning this season, I'm just sitting here shaking my head like they blew their opportunity. They had one shot. You talk about a fumble. This will go down as one of the greatest fumbles in sports history. They had a chance to elevate themselves. Instead, they've disappointed this entire new fan base. Caitlin Clark's entire sophomore season in the WNBA seems shady as hell.
Now, layer on the timing. The league is staring down a major CBA negotiation. Players have been pushing, loudly and publicly, for bigger salaries, better travel, and more respect. Last year, they had momentum. This year, owners can point to something brutally simple. The ratings aren't there. The segments aren't there. The advertisers aren't there. Whether you think that's a convenient excuse or hard reality, it's a powerful negotiating position. Shrink the pie before you talk about slices.
Y'all ain't finna get no $1 million contracts. Guess what's gonna happen to that CBA agreement? It's gonna stay the same. You're not getting no extra money. The ratings has dropped 80%. That's what they're gonna say. You know, they're gonna be looking through this. Hey, you know what? The ratings are just, I'm sorry. So all of that momentum that you guys had about a year and a half ago, it's over. It's over.
And that's where the conspiracy whispers start. Did the league and some owners quietly see advantage in letting the hype cool? Did they fail to protect and promote the one draw that could have carried them into better media money? Was the physicality Clark absorbed waved off as part of the game because a later reset would make labor talks easier? Those claims are incendiary and impossible to prove. But you don't have to believe a grand plot to see the effect. Less coverage equals less leverage. Full stop.
I'll say a little conspiracy with keeping Caitlin Clark out, with them playing a factor in her not being there to keep the CBA agreements and pull away the interest from the league. I believe this is a planned attack by the WNBA owners, commissioners, to pull the interest away from the league.
The Indiana Fever, meanwhile, are in the crosshairs. This should have been the perfect fit. A struggling franchise gets a generational talent and a million new eyes. Instead, critics argue the team never matched the urgency of the moment. Too many hits unchallenged. Too little demand for star protection. Too slow to adjust. When the wheels wobbled and the injury forced time off, fans asked the most painful question in sports. Was any of this preventable? Even if the honest answer is, not really, the doubt lingers. Doubt is corrosive. Into that vacuum, the hot take economy did what it does. Jason Whitlock torched the league as entitled and unlikable, accusing players of demanding NBA checks without NBA pull.
Women have been fighting for 60 years, and they finally get the biggest star in sports, and it's Caitlin Clark. They hate her, they beat her up and brutalize her, but here's what's even worse. Caitlin Clark brings attention to the WNBA. She centers all these WNBA basketball players and shines a spotlight on them. And you know what? They're all hot garbage. They're all unlikable.
Colin Cowherd, who spent last summer building entire A blocks around Clark, said the quiet part out loud. Without Caitlin Clark, I'm not watching. You can disagree with the tone and still recognize the damage. When the microphones that once amplified your rise now broadcast your fade, fan confidence cracks. Sponsors hear it, executives feel it, players live it.
How many times have you watched WNBA games since Caitlin Clark got hurt? Now think about this. It led our show last summer.
A bunch.
Oh, I think I led with it 6 times. I led with the WNBA. And either way, I talk about what I think is interesting. You notice I didn't talk about it this year? It's not because I suddenly disliked the league. I thought it was growing. Anybody that wants to argue this, you're off your rocker. Caitlin Clark is the league.
So where do we actually stand beyond the noise? Start with the scoreboard nobody sees. Attention. The WNBA's attention story was concentrated, and concentration is fragile. The league needs 2 things to stabilize. 1, a product that compels casual fans week to week, even when the brightest star is dimmed. And 2, a media strategy that refuses to vanish the minute a headline changes. Because disappearing is worse than losing. It teaches audiences there's nothing to miss.
This has been a joke, and the WNBA has, in my view, blown its opportunity.
Second, the players' leverage arc. Last year's argument was simple. The audience is arriving, bet on growth. That's harder to sell if networks are demonstrably scaling back. The way out isn't a press release, it's a programming plan. You want leverage? Deliver rivalries that feel inevitable. Clark versus a worthy foil, defense versus offense, super team versus disruptor. And schedule them like television events. Wake casual fans up and give them a path back in. The women on these rosters are elite. The packaging has to be elite to match.
It's a big, giant group of unlikable people. I don't care if they have any success. I like a handful of the Indiana Fever players. That's it. But I've lost interest in that. I'm done. I'm out. No reason to watch the rest of this season. No real reason to return next season.
Damn.
Third, the Fever problem. If you're the franchise with the magnet, you must act like it. Protect your star publicly, lobby for consistency privately, and build the roster architecture that turns one attraction into a winning machine. The story of the league can't be one phenom and 9 question marks. It has to be one phenom and a relentless, modern team that rewards viewers for sticking around. You don't wait for that to happen. You manufacture it through player development, smart trades, and a media-savvy identity that travels. But let's talk about the elephant in the negotiation room: lockout risk. If owner math says hold the line and player math says we can't go back, 2026 gets dicey. A stoppage would be catastrophic for a league still converting curiosity into habit. If the CBA fight becomes a staring contest, everyone loses. Fans who drifted during the injury period won't fight their way back through a blackout. The league can't afford to treat momentum like it's guaranteed. It's rented, and the rent is due daily.
To get these set paydays that they garner and they want, bro. In order to do that, you have to have a consistent track record of good ratings, consistent track records of merchandise sales, ticket sales, and all of these things. And I'm telling you right now, next year is going to be a tough year.
So what would success look like from here? Real, measurable, down-to-earth success. Start with an immediate, league-led programming reset. Build a slate of appointment nights with consistent national windows, even if the audience is smaller at first. Own Thursday. Own Sunday afternoons. Teach viewers where to find you and reward them with stakes. Standings graphics that matter. Rivalries that simmer. Star profiles that feel cinematic. Make the broadcast feel big, even when the moment is small. Audiences follow confidence. Next, widen the lens, but tighten the storytelling. Don't pretend every game is a classic. Curate. Showcase 3 or 4 arcs and hammer them weekly. If Clark returns, great, she's Chapter 1. But Chapter 2 has to be a foil viewers can't ignore. Chapter 3 should be a franchise identity war, the methodical juggernaut versus the chaos engine. Chapter 4, a rising rookie who changes pace and pace of conversation. Turn the league from a single-thread story into a must-watch anthology.
I don't know what the ratings are. I haven't read them, but I know last year with Caitlin Clark, I would, if the game was on, I would drive home making a point, and when's that game on?
I would watch it on my phone
Yes,
in the car. So
yes.
You could listen, not watch, I'm driving, but you could listen to it in the car.
And to the executives and owners, if you truly believe the long-term upside exists, prove it in the short term with production value and travel standards that look major league even when the cameras are smaller. Don't wait for a rights windfall to behave like a Tier 1 property. Behave like one first. Networks follow polish as much as they follow points. If ESPN and Fox pulled back because the spreadsheet forced their hand, give them a new spreadsheet they can't ignore. And to the executives and owners, if you truly believe the long-term upside exists, prove it in the short term with production value and travel standards that look major league even when the cameras are smaller. Don't wait for a rights windfall to behave like a Tier 1 property. Behave like one first. Networks follow polish as much as they follow points. If ESPN and Fox pulled back because the spreadsheet forced their hand, give them a new spreadsheet they can't ignore. Let's end where we began, with that gut punch feeling of silence. The absence of coverage isn't destiny. It's a test. The WNBA's last surge taught us something real. There is an audience when the product feels like a cultural moment. Today's contraction teaches something just as real. Moments can't be a one-woman show. If Caitlin Clark returns and does Caitlin Clark things, the switch flips again. But the league's survival can't depend on one switch. It needs a power grid. So ask yourself, do you want this to be the bubble chapter people cite in think pieces 5 years from now? Or the plot twist where a league learned to be bigger than a breakout? Because the clock is already ticking. On negotiations, on production, on trust. Fans don't owe you attention. You earn it, night after night, with games that feel like events and stars who feel like stories. The tantrum headlines will fade. The question that remains is whether the W can build something that keeps cameras pointed your way when the easy storyline is gone. If you're still here, you're part of the solution. Tell me below, what's the one change on the court or on the screen that would make you watch twice a week every week? Rivalries? Consistent windows? Mic'd up moments? Because if the league listens now, this doesn't have to be the end of anything. It can be the beginning of the grown-up version of what last year promised. And that would be worth tuning in for.